Commissioner Wood.
Hi, thanks. I'm Peter Wood. I'm an ANC Commissioner and Adams Morgan Ward 1 resident. I'm here to voice, sorry for the pun, I'm here to offer my support for the VOICE Act and for ranked choice voting in Washington, D.C. This is a fruitful discussion. I really enjoy getting to hear all of the different ways that sometimes ironically people raise the same points but going for different kind of justifications. I don't want to be repetitive. There's a few points that I do think warrant some kind of further attention. The main opposition to this act I've heard so far is that it's too complicated. It complicates the ballot. It makes it inaccessible, that it makes it so that people won't participate to vote. I think partially that's a little bit insulting in some cases, but in some cases I think it's legitimate. I think that there's serious concerns for voter education that need to be incorporated. They are incorporated in this act. I think there'll be roughly 2.5 years for voter education efforts to be able to prepare Washingtonians so that the ballot isn't something confusing, but ideally is the opposite, is something that is not inspiring, at least engaging, and wants people to participate in the democratic process. I do also, besides being an ANC commissioner and a candidate in the past for that, have professional experience. Like my doctoral dissertation is literally about political participation. Just to put things in a bit of context, I've been to elections where literally there's a wall of all the candidates written for one office. The last time I went to one of those, there was over 1,000 people that were running for the same level of office. You have to have a number and you type it into machine because there's too many. That's complicated. Putting this into context, yes, there are like nuances that we need to make sure are addressed so that people can feel that the voices matter and they can access their ballots. But we're not talking about 1,000 candidates. We're talking about a few dozen max. But anyway, the question of turnout is still something that's very important, and we want people to turn out. You hear a lot of claims that ballot complexity is reducing turnout, even though that ballot doesn't exist yet. I hear things that I think I agree with more, which is that there are a lot of institutional issues that prevent people from either being able to participate in elections or from wanting to do so. I think those are important, but also those are the results of the current system that's already in place. These are things that need to be rectified, but let's not jump the gun and put the blame onto something that doesn't exist yet. And it's a very uncomfortable topic to raise, but I think at least in part, some of that results in Washington, D.C.'s case from having in practice a one-party system. There are good things that have come from this system in D.C., but I don't think it's a coincidence that quite a bit of the opposition to this act is coming from people that have institutionalized power in place. I totally see that a lot of the people that are testifying use that in good ways, but also people that have power don't want to cede that without it being, a difficult negotiation process, which I respect, but we need to call attention to that. And I think that's important because we have this talk of wanting a broader outreach of candidates in their campaigns so that we're reaching more communities. Again, there are communities that really do get disrespected, that candidates don't show up or will pay lip service for about 2 weeks in about like mid-October every 2 to 4 years. That's real. Again, that's the result of the system that's already in place. I don't think that this act is going to resolve all of that, but I do think it's an important tool that can move us into a direction where that more people feel that they're appreciated and listened to. 16% of Washington, D.C. very steadily over many years does not have partisan affiliation. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of the 70-some% that are in the majority party don't entirely fall in line with everything that the party says that they stand for. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But what I do hear is that we have a history in DC of diverse candidates, which is true, and it's something that definitely want to continue in terms of demographic diversity. But I haven't heard that much about philosophical or political ideological diversity. And I think that's important because what we want to do is embrace that people can either be true to the values that sort of have to water down in campaign season, or that so the different candidates that have well-verified important views that often get excluded under some sort of scapegoat of radicalism or whatever you want to call it, that they're a more integral part of the discussion. Not to say that all those people need to be elected, some of them, yes. But the second part is that the people that are already benefiting now, the parties that are already benefiting now, will have incentive to produce better quality platforms, better quality candidates. I think that in an ideal world that this can push for that system where we have more inclusion of more types of platforms and people, and the people that are already invested financially and politically and otherwise in DC's electoral system will have to make sure that they rise to the occasion. There's a lot of complacency that a lot of people feel excluded because of that complacency. I think this is at least a small way to rectify some of that and move us in a positive direction. But thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.